All right, does everyone see
Yes.
does everyone, all right, so everyone sees my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so I will start on the desktop on demand. So so for all the LUNARC users, this is how we run most of our applications because we're very much into GUI applications and user friendliness. And for a desktop on demand is not something it's something that's unique to LUNARC right now, but it doesn't have to be. And we hope that desktop on demand and the GFX launcher, which was just made public a few weeks ago at a conference, um, we hope that that will be coming soon to facilities near you. To sound like an advertiser. So anyway, the way that I will demonstrate this is I will launch a couple of the applications that desktop on demand is made for. But before I go on, do I need to enlarge the text on my screen or anything? Is anyone having a hard time reading this text?
It is a little bit small, and I think for a laptop, it probably is small.
Okay. Then what I will do is I will zoom in like this. Actually, instead I will go to I had the settings up just for this, just in case of this. I'll go ahead and scale this to 200%. All right, hopefully this is more comfortable. All right, so at what desktop on demand is basically it's an interactive environment for submitting jobs to Slurm without using the typical shell script. You use the graphical application launcher, or GFX launcher for short, to submit jobs to Slurm, and that connects the application to the compute node. So you can use it as if you were on the login node, but the actual code, the GUI itself and any jobs that you run from it are running on compute nodes, so they don't tie up the login nodes. The desktop on demand is not in itself in this applications menu, but it's the engine that runs these things. So the applications that run on demand here are any of these menu options that are preceded by applications and a dash. So if you go into favorites, you might be tempted to use this terminal. This one runs on the login node, so don't use that if you don't if you're if you're if what you want is to run something intensive. Instead, if you need to run a terminal, you go under this general list and you select one of these terminals. The CPU one is the preferred one because it doesn't require any GPU reservations, and there's more CPU terminals in general anyway. So I will go ahead and start it. Now, so when you start an application in the on-demand system, it pulls up this pop-up. This is the GFX launcher pop-up. And this is where you specify the job requirements to run the GUI itself. So this doesn't necessarily apply to, this doesn't always apply to jobs that are run within the application. This applies to the GUI itself. So if you wanted to run the CPU terminal you can run the CPU terminal for up to 48 hours. Well, no, actually for some of the applications, there's a CPU option and a GPU option. Typically the CPU option, you can specify up to, you may be able to specify up to a full 7 days. But for GPU options, you're limited to 48 hours. And in practice, there can be significant delays getting started, even if your wall time is as short as 4 hours. So you should save your work frequently and be conservative in your wall time estimates. So I already mentioned where the on-demand applications are. And once you're logged into the LUNARC HPC desktop, you click on the applications, you find the application that you want, and now you can start specifying your resources. So let's pretend that I need an hour. I'm not going to use it. I'll stop it shortly. Then you select a reservation. And I'm not sure why it's this one. So you can specify the resource. Usually, whichever resource is already specified is the best option, but you can choose a different one sometimes. Some applications, what's listed in the resource box is the only available option. Other requirements you can specify are here under this gear icon. So here, what you can do is you can specify a job name for any jobs that you run through Slurm will have this prefix on them. You can increase the number of tasks per node. You can ask for more memory on the same node. You can if your reservation allows it, you can ask for a full node. And you can also click use reservation, and that's interesting. Normally if you have a reservation, you'll see other projects listed here. But anyway, so let me cancel that. And once you have everything selected that you want to select, you can just click start. And if it's okay with the specifications that you gave it, this little box will turn green and then the application will start. And so I'm going to close this, and most of the time, the application stops on its own when you close the GUI, but sometimes you need to click this stop to stop it early. Now, there are some additional options that you might find with something like spyder or Jupyter. Occasionally, you'll see something like occasionally you'll see a job settings menu. Let me select the Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab CPU, just so you can see this in real time. And what this it's not recommended that you use job settings unless you know what you're doing and you already know exactly which modules you need, because what this is for is to specify additional modules. And when you go to select modules, one thing that happens is that if you when you search here, you can lose previously selected objects. So like, I don't know, let's select BioPython just for the heck of it. Then maybe you select that. Now you get a whole bunch of these other, now all the module that you selected and all its prerequisites are loaded, but now you've lost the Anaconda 3. And if you lose Anaconda 3, or if you keep Anaconda 3, but then these GCC and OpenMPI options are incompatible with it, what will happen is, and I'll show you what happens by just clicking start. And what you'll see, yep, like that. the application will give you a time expired notice instantly. And so this is a bit of a misleading error message. What it actually means is that the necessary prerequisite module for Jupyter Lab was either lost or incompatible with something else that you chose. So only use the job settings when absolutely necessary and make sure you know what you're doing. So on to the next section. The other really nice package, or one of the really nice packages that LUNARC offers through OnDemand for Python is spyder. And it's a little bit trickier to make run on the other systems. So on LUNARC, it's available here under the applications, Python, Anaconda 3 spyder. Very simple. On the other centers, it's a bit harder. On HPC2N, there is one native spyder installation, but it is quite old. It's recommended that instead you follow a similar procedure to what was done on UPPMAX and NSC, which is to create a virtual environment to run it there. So in order to run, if you're on UPPMAX or TetraLith, then what you'll want is to run this. You want to activate this virtual environment that has been prepared for you. If you're on HPC2N, you can run this, or you can prepare a virtual environment to get a newer version of spyder. But going forward, I will demonstrate spyder on Cosmos. And also, if you want to run spyder personally, it's easy enough to install standalone on your personal computer, or if you just want to try it out, you can go to this link here and try spyder online without having to download it. Oops.
Yes, and I can add for HPC2N later today, hopefully a working spyder environment that you can try out.
Yes.
And at NSC and UPPMAX, it's also possible to use Conda to then it will be much easier to install. But that is up to you to do that.
Yes, and if you're on this binder site, then basically what it does is it pulls up an experimental remote desktop, and then you can just double-click spyder and it'll load. And this one's got the newest version, the shiny version. And it will look something like this once you've yes, so when you open spyder, you tend to just get a menu that looks like this. But I'm not going to continue on this. I'm going to open it here on LUNARC. So I'll go to Applications Python, Jupyter Lab. Whoops, not Jupyter Lab, spyder. And I'm going to set it for 2 hours so that we make sure that takes us all the way through to coffee. I'm just going to leave it on 1 task per node. I don't need very many resources to demonstrate the next few packages. So I don't really need to specify anything because I'm just going to be running stuff locally in the project directory that was given for storage here. So I'll just leave it on 2-88 and start. This one is version 5, and it might be a little big. Yeah. So depending on your system, you may end up with a you might find that some of the text might be either too big or too small, and that's easy enough to fix. So what you see along the top you have a bunch of menu options, and then you have a bunch of icons, the standard open or new, open, save as, and then a bunch of options for running and debugging your code. And then you have this little wrench icon that takes you to preferences, which you can also get to via tools and preferences. So then if you go to preferences, what you can do is go to appearance, go away. You can change your font size, you can change the theme. You can go to application, and for those of you who might be on an external monitor that will tend to show the so this did not originally open where this was scaled nicely for this high DPI monitor. What I had to do was, normally it defaults to this normal, but you can select enable auto high DPI scaling, or you can set a custom DPI scaling, and then you'll have to restart the module, but you can just, if you're on something like Rackham, it will restart automatically. It might look like it's getting interrupted, but it's not. It will restart. So I'm going to leave these settings as they are. The other thing you probably want to do when you're first running spyder is to go to, I believe it's in, let's see. Yes, it's IPython console. And so what you want to go to then is graphics and select the graphics backend. The default is usually inline, and I find that that's usually too small. And it also, but if you select automatic, then what happens is that if you, let's say you run let's say you just run this little sample code, which I put in my personal directory. Then it pops up this nice little GUI here. For some versions of spyder, there will be a plots pane over here, which you can decouple by clicking this little burger icon over here, or menu icon, and clicking undock. And that will also pop out a figure like this. And this GUI is nice because then you can adjust things in the GUI on the fly. So like if you want to change the margins on this plot, you can go like this, and see how the top is getting close to, the top axis is getting closer to the top. Maybe the right, you need to push that over to make it tighter. The H space and W space settings are for spacing between subplots, and those you can set as well. Now, if you wanted to, the other really nice thing is that you can edit the data itself. So let's say you forgot to give it an x-axis label. So I'm going to put X and Y, apply, and there they are. You can also adjust the limits. So let's say you don't like this padding that they give it. So maybe you want to set this to 0.1, and instead of 20, go to or set it to 20 even. Maybe you set it to 0.5. So apply. That's a little bit better. And you can also You can even adjust the parameters of your data. So I don't have any markers on this right now, but if I wanted to, I don't know, give it circular points at all of the markers, I can do that. And there they are. And I can change the color. And you can, so the face and edge colors are separate, and you can adjust them separately as well. So this is really nice. This is why I like spyder. You can't do any of this in Jupyter. So let's cancel that. And then you can just go over, you can reset the original view by doing this. What that typically does is that if you've adjusted the margins, it brings those back. Or if you've used the zoom icon like that, then this little home icon restores the original zoom factor. Then, of course, there's a save icon, and you can choose where to save it. I am going to go to, if I can find it, LUNARC, no backup, projects, and then scroll down to the storage project right here, my personal directory, and then I'm just going to save it as figure 1. And it's done. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you can choose different file types to save it as. JPEG is a little bit less, takes up less room than PNG, but PNG is not lossy. And but for publication, we usually recommend PDF because that's accepted pretty much everywhere, and it's also not lossy. Okay. So, any questions so far?
We can take them in the share document.
Right.
So will we cover Jupyter now? Is it Birgitte?